There comes a moment in every life when the world seems to pause, when your heart beats louder than the noise around you, when fear and faith stand face to face, waiting for you to choose, and in that moment, one brave decision can change everything, because destiny doesn't wait for the perfect time. It responds to courage, it bends to those who dare. History itself has never been written by the comfortable, it's written by the courageous, by those who stood at the edge of uncertainty and said, "I'll go anyway." There comes a point in every life where time seems to slow, and the noise of the world fades into the background. It's the moment when your heart beats louder than logic, when you feel a pull towards something bigger, something uncertain. That's the crossroads where comfort and courage meet face to face. You can sense it deep within you, that quiet realization that if you keep standing still, you might survive, but you'll never truly live. This is the moment that defines who you are becoming. The safe path whispers promises of security, of routine, of familiarity. But the other path, the one that scares you, challenges you, calls you. It holds something more powerful, possibility. In that pause between decision and doubt, fear begins to speak. It tells you that you might fail, that people might not understand, that you could lose everything you've worked for. And yet, in the very same breath, courage whispers something softer but far stronger. Asterisk, what if this choice changes everything? Asterisk, that question, small as it may seem, is the seed of transformation. Every great destiny begins with that moment of hesitation, followed by one brave step. The truth is, the difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one is not talent, luck, or timing. It's the courage to choose when it's hardest to. This is where your story starts to shift. The decision you make in that quiet, uncertain moment can echo through the rest of your life. You might not see the full picture yet, you might not know where it leads, but the act of choosing, of trusting your gut, is what sets everything in motion. Because courage doesn't shout, it acts. It takes one deep breath and says, "Let's go." And from that single moment of bravery, entire futures are rewritten. So when life places you at that crossroads again, don't wait for certainty. Don't wait for perfect timing. Choose to listen to that pulse of courage within you, because one brave decision made in the silence of your own heart can become the loudest turning point of your life. Every great chapter in human history began with someone who dared to make a choice that others feared. Every breakthrough, every invention, every revolution was born from a single decision that seemed unreasonable at the time. The people we admire, the dreamers, the builders, the visionaries, weren't handed certainty. They stepped forward when the outcome was unclear, driven by faith rather than guarantees. They knew that courage wasn't about being fearless, but about standing firm in the presence of fear. Because bravery isn't loud, it's quiet persistence. It's the voice inside that says, "I'll try," even when the world says, "You can't." We often mistake bravery for grand gestures, but it's usually hidden in small, defining moments. It's in the decision to keep going when no one's clapping. It's in the act of standing up for truth when silence would be easier. It's in choosing growth over comfort, purpose over safety. Every great leader, artist, or innovator has stood in that uncertain space, questioning themselves, battling doubt. But what separates them from the rest is that they acted anyway. That one decision, that single heartbeat of courage, shifted the entire direction of their lives. Think of how history would look if those individuals had chosen comfort instead of courage. There would be no light bulbs, no airplanes, no voices that inspired generations. The world moves forward because someone somewhere decided to take a step into uncertainty. And that's the beauty of courage, it's contagious. One brave decision inspires another. One spark of faith becomes a flame that lights the way for countless others. When you choose bravery, you declare to life that you're ready for more. You stop waiting for guarantees and start writing your own script. You realize that the cost of playing it safe is far greater than the risk of trying, because in the end, it's not the failures we regret. It's the moments we were too afraid to begin. So even if the path ahead looks uncertain, even if fear still lingers, move forward. One brave decision can awaken something extraordinary within you, and from that moment on, the world will never look the same again. The future is not something that simply happens to us. It's something we create with every choice we make. Every decision, no matter how small, begins to shape the person we become and the life we live. We often wait for the perfect moment, for all the answers to appear before we act, but life doesn't work that way. The truth is, clarity comes through movement. The moment you take that first step, the fog begins to lift. You start to see possibilities that were invisible before. The future bends toward those who move, not those who stand still waiting for certainty. Many people spend their entire lives standing on the edge of their dreams, waiting for a sign that it's safe to leap. But growth doesn't come from safety. It comes from motion. The unknown is where potential hides, where the best parts of your story are waiting to be written. Every bold move, every decision made in faith, adds a new chapter to who you are. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You just need to climb the first step with belief, because that single act of courage sets the entire journey in motion. The gap between who you are and who you're meant to be is bridged by action. You can dream, plan, and prepare forever, but without movement, dreams remain only pictures in your mind. It's when you finally act, when you decide to stop waiting and start building, that transformation begins. The path ahead will never reveal itself completely before you start walking, but each step you take teaches you, strengthens you, and guides you closer to the life you want. Every person who has ever achieved something remarkable began with uncertainty. They had no map, no guarantees, only a decision to begin, and as they moved forward, the way appeared. That's the secret most people miss. The future doesn't belong to those who know. It belongs to those who go. One brave decision to start, to trust, to take that first uncertain step can open doors you never imagined. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to move, because the moment you do, your future begins to unfold. There will come a time when the path you've chosen feels heavier than you expected, when the noise of doubt grows louder than the voice of faith. You'll question yourself, wonder if you made the right choice, if the risk was worth it. That's the test that every brave soul must face, because courage doesn't guarantee an easy road. It guarantees growth. Every stumble, every failure, every sleepless night becomes a lesson carved deep into who you are becoming. And that's where true strength is born, not in victory, but in the resilience to rise after falling. Failure isn't the end of your story. It's the part that gives your story power. It's where you learn what you're really made of. When everything falls apart and you still choose to get back up, that's when your identity begins to shift. You stop defining yourself by what you've lost and start defining yourself by what you've learned. Every setback becomes a piece of wisdom, every wound a reminder that you've survived something that once scared you. Over time, these moments of struggle don't break you. They build you into someone unstoppable. It's easy to celebrate the moments of success, but it's the moments of pain that shape your foundation. Growth often hides in the very things you try to avoid: the discomfort, the rejection, the disappointment. But when you face them with courage, you discover something extraordinary. You are stronger than you ever imagined. Each time you rise, you carry a new version of yourself forward, more refined, more determined, more alive. And then one day, you look back at the journey and realize that the decision you once feared didn't just change your direction. It changed your character. It taught you patience, discipline, empathy, and self-belief. You start to see that the person you've become is the real reward. The brave decision that began your journey may have rewritten your future, but it also rewrote you. It turned your doubt into confidence, your pain into purpose, and your fear into fuel. And that transformation is something no failure can ever take away from you. When you finally choose courage over fear, the world begins to respond in ways you couldn't have imagined. It's as if something unseen starts aligning itself with your intention. The opportunities that once seemed out of reach begin to appear. The people you need to meet, the doors you hoped would open, the chances you once thought were impossible, they start to find their way toward you. It's not magic, it's momentum, Life moves in the direction of your decisions, and when that decision is rooted in bravery, everything around you begins to shift with it. Courage has a language the universe understands. It speaks in action, not hesitation. It tells the world, "I'm ready," and the world answers back. That's why one bold choice can create ripples far beyond what you see today. The moment you act with conviction, your energy changes. Your confidence grows, your focus sharpens, and suddenly, possibilities expand. You begin to attract people who share your vision, challenges that refine you, and moments that shape your destiny. All of it starts from one moment of faith in yourself. There's a special kind of power that follows brave decisions. It's the energy of movement, the pull of momentum. The more steps you take, the more the path reveals itself. Each act of courage builds on the last, and soon you realize that what once felt impossible is now a part of your everyday reality. You no longer wait for luck, you create it, because bravery has motion, and motion is what builds miracles. The most beautiful part is how life mirrors your belief. When you stop doubting yourself, the world stops doubting you too. When you trust your journey, the universe meets you halfway. You start to see that things don't happen by accident. They happen in response to your decision to begin. The moment you commit to something greater than your fear, you set in motion a chain of events that leads you toward growth, success, and meaning. And it all starts with one courageous act. One step forward when everything inside you wanted to stay still. That is the power of choosing bravery. It doesn't just open doors, it builds new ones. There comes a moment when hesitation has to end, when standing on the edge of possibility is no longer enough. You feel it deep inside, that quiet knowing that life is calling you to move, to act, to choose. It's not that the fear disappears, it's that something stronger begins to rise within you. The realization that if you don't take this chance now, you may never know what could have been. That's the truth about courage. It rarely arrives with perfect timing. It shows up in moments of uncertainty, asking you to trust yourself when everything feels unclear. And in that fragile, powerful moment, the choice you make can change everything that follows. The power to rewrite your story has always lived inside you. Every dream you've ever imagined, every vision of who you could become, it's all waiting on the other side of a single decision. The future doesn't come knocking on your door. You have to step toward it. And it doesn't matter how small the step is. What matters is that it's yours. Because movement, even when uncertain, breaks the chains of doubt. Each brave choice you make builds momentum, and that momentum begins to reshape your life in ways you couldn't have predicted. Too often, people wait for permission to feel ready, to feel worthy, to feel certain. But the truth is, no one is ever fully ready. Readiness is created through action. The moment you decide to act, life starts to unfold differently. You begin to see that the world was never against you. It was simply waiting for your signal. One bold choice sends that signal. It tells the universe that you're ready to claim your purpose, to live fully, to rise higher than fear. So when you stand at that edge, trembling between doubt and destiny, remember this. Everything you've dreamed of is waiting just beyond that moment of fear. You don't need to see the whole future. You just need to believe that you have the power to shape it. One brave decision can shift the course of your life entirely. It can turn what was once just a hope into a story worth remembering. The moment is here, the choice is yours. At the end of it all, life will not remember the days you played it safe. It will remember the moments you were brave. The times you stood at the edge of fear and chose to step forward anyway. Because it's not the easy choices that define you, it's the courageous ones. The ones that tested your heart, stretched your limits, and demanded your faith. That single decision you've been afraid to make, that's the one that could change everything. One brave choice can open 1,000 unseen doors. It can turn pain into purpose, failure into fuel, and doubt into destiny. You may not know what waits beyond that step, but you'll know one thing for certain. You didn't let fear write your story. You took control of your future with your own hands. And when you do that, when you decide to act instead of waiting, the world bends toward your courage. So today, stand tall, look at the life ahead of you, not with hesitation, but with hope, because your story isn't finished yet. Every moment of doubt, every struggle, every fall has led you to this point. For one reason, to decide. The power to change your life isn't somewhere out there. It's right here inside you, waiting to be claimed. Take the step, make the choice, trust the fire within you, because one brave decision, just one, has the power to rewrite your entire future.